From the News Channel 5 Network and Out and About newspaper, this is Out and About Today. Sponsored by the Tennessee Performing Arts Center.
Good evening and welcome to Out and About Today. I'm Pam Wheeler. On tonight's show, we have two of our most frequent and knowledgeable guests. Lisa Howe, Executive Director of the LGBT Chamber of Commerce, will join me in our next segment. And the Executive Director of the TEP, Tennessee Equality Project, will sit down with Brent in our last segment. Both have good news to share and you won't want to miss it. But first, we are required to open the show with our Buzz About segment. Topics tonight, Kim Davis, LGBT History Month, and our most favorite time of the year, Halloween. I'm joined by my totally scary co-host, Brent Chuck, and our special Buzz guest is the aforementioned Lisa Howe. Welcome, everybody, to this glorious day.
She's so chipper because it's Halloween.
I do love a Halloween.
It's gay Christmas.
It is.
It is.
But before we have fun, we have to talk about Kim Davis. We do, because, I mean, we've been talking about it a month. We haven't talked about it, I know. We haven't talked about it on the show. We all know who she is. She's the Kentucky County Clerk who refused to issue marriage license after the SCOTUS decision. She did this for a number of times, then was held in contempt, and then spent 5 days in jail. She recently gave an interview where she had a lot of things to say. I want to hear what your thoughts are after seeing her, because I have some thoughts. But first, we're going to hear from you guys. Chuck, why don't you chime in first?
I think it's so sad that we know the name Kim Davis. I mean, that she would come to the public eye because of what she stands for. Because to me, she stands for discrimination, bigotry, all in the name for what she calls religious liberty. And I just think it's sad and disgusting.
Yeah, I know. We're talking about it. We're feeding it a little bit, aren't we?
Well, but
it's our job.
Not in a positive way.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Lisa, what do you think?
I really think she had no idea what she was doing in the beginning. I thought she thought the two guys that came to get their marriage license were the only gay guys in Kentucky. I think she, you know, she lives a sheltered life, and I think she had no idea what she was in for, and now she's a bit of a pawn behind the Florida attorneys and
the machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the Mike Huckabee and everybody coming out, standing with her. Whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think she's like, I agree with both of these guys. She's a rallying point. She gets people to, gets them together on a topic that she's got people convinced that she's not, or trying to convince people rather, that her voice isn't being heard, that it's somehow a freedom of speech, when in fact she has literally broken the law and not done what she's legally binded to do by the office in which she holds.
I know. That's your job.
That's your job.
You either do it, and if you don't want to anymore, because things do change, dynamic world.
Yeah, of course.
Resign. Go on.
If you were in a job and you had a duty you didn't like doing, I mean, what's your recourse? Quit.
Right.
I mean, you can't,
or do it just like, oh, I gotta do this.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I mean, literally breaking the law in order to try to be content, it just cracks me up.
Yeah.
And then her husband was here recently speaking. I mean, they're even using him. I mean, it's just like
her fourth husband.
Her fourth, yeah.
Third husband, twice removed, whatever.
Lisa, you say that from the standpoint she didn't know what she was getting into. I've also heard folks on Facebook say, like, this is what she's doing. She's going to write a book and she's going to do this. It's a very contrived thing, and maybe both. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that she's set out for that, but
I think now that she has a chance to monetize it, possibly that she could do that. She might have the people behind her to help her do that. They didn't help her husband prepare, because I heard he only talked for 30 seconds. He didn't know what to say.
Of course not.
Okay, we have to move on. Besides it being Halloween month, it's also LGBT History Month. And the Equality Forum does a great job of giving us 30 icons to celebrate, and we have a screen showing the video the Equality Forum does where it highlights every single one. We're going to see some names come up. I asked you each to pick one out of the 31 to just talk about and tell me why maybe you're connected to them more than others, and we'll start with Brent. And I would encourage our viewers to go to the site and check it out, because there's a lot of great stuff happening out there, and sometimes we just are so busy we don't realize it.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, the list is pretty comprehensive, and as I was reading through it, there were so many folks that I both recognized and others I didn't. But the one that kind of stood out to me, I've heard about it my entire life, was Clive Davis, the record producer. And so I did a little bit of research, some things I knew. He's been attributed for bringing us Whitney Houston. He's won 5 Grammys. He's been a record executive since 1967. But he came out publicly as bisexual in his 2013 autobiography. Married twice. He's had 2 male companions over the years, so I mean, just a really interesting, dynamic guy.
I like it. Okay, Lisa, who do you have?
I chose Jane Addams. I thought it was nice to go back and so that people know that LGBT history is not just 5 or 6 years old or 6 months old, that it goes back to one of the first presidents of the United States, and have a president's wife on there. And she was an advocate for women and children, and to interpret that, and maybe she was an advocate for LGBT too, just quietly behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah, I like that pick. And Chuck, how about you?
I went with Michael Sam, the first football player drafted into the NFL. I think not only has he done so much for sports, but he's also done a lot, along the lines of, you remember when they announced that he was being drafted and he was there with his partner and they kissed on television, and that became a huge deal.
Right.
And, and for them to be able to do that and do it openly, I thought was really, really nice. And actually, Michael Sam is now going to be one of the commentators for the Missouri Tigers. That's his former alma mater, and so
I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear that. We need to move on to Halloween. And in honor of Kathy Bates' character on Freak Show, I've found a little something, and I'm going to wear it the whole segment.
and we're supposed to get through this segment now.
No,
I can't
I
wait.
know. You guys didn't wear costumes, so
I had flashbacks to some of the first costumes we wore.
we used to wear costumes. It didn't always go. We have 1 minute left.
Oh, okay.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to see some costumes that I think are relevant. That one for sure. I am Kate. Caitlyn Jenner. I think some people will do that well and not so well. I want you each to talk about what you're going to be this year or what you were last year if you can't do the big reveal on the show. Chuck, what are you going to do?
Okay, well, it's a big surprise. But last year we were a group of Mardi Gras revelers, so we had a lot of fun doing that.
Oh, that's
what we did
awesome.
last year.
Yeah.
I go trick-or-treating with a 4-year-old, so we're going to be the characters from Inside Out.
Awesome.
Wow, that's awesome, yeah.
Well, and Matthew and I have decided this year we wanted to do a couples thing, so we thought Calvin and Hobbs would be kind of fun. I get to just wear a T-shirt, and he gets to be a tiger, so.
Oh,
It's kind of fun. Yeah.
yeah. Is
Don't
that-
anybody steal that yet.
We'll throw
See, I
that.
loved all the technology costumes that are
Yeah.
in there. There was
You
an
were an
Instagram.
iPhone once,
I
right?
wasn't an iPhone. No, I was
You
not.
were something.
I was something. What was I?
You had on
I
like,
was
the box.
I was
Mary
Operation,
Elena knows.
Operation, and it was
Operation.
very good. I don't have my costume yet this year, but that's all the time we have, I believe. Thank you so much for this very fun segment that I hosted.
And the scariest costume would be Kim Davis. So
That's
I
right.
would-
I'm
that's
not giving
really
her my
costume
time.
and scary.
All right, stay with us out there because when we come back, Lisa and I will be here. We're going to talk LGBT Nashville Chamber of Commerce.